Five-star top defenders. Let's start things off with Aiden Bodani.
Well, I think Aiden's an outstanding player. I think he can play either close or long pole. I think he's going to be the #1 defenseman that people are going to be looking at. He's at Western Reserve Academy in Ohio. He had a great summer playing for Resolute. He's a guy that is, like I say, he has the ability to do either, and I think he's going to be a top recruit.
So you're talking about an eraser, a guy who can cover and then do more in terms of ground balls, transitional play?
Yeah, he and the next guy we're going to talk about, I think, are two other defenders that are clearly better than everybody else down low. And I think Aiden, like I say, I think Aiden's an ACC Big Ten type of recruit.
Donnie Scott is our next defensive athlete, hometown from Kennesaw, Georgia, actually plays at the Hill Academy up in Canada, does a little indoor with a short stick playing offense, and then in field lacrosse, he plays defense with the long pole.
He's rugged. I mean, he's a big, strong, nasty young man who everybody in the country is going to go after. He has the ability to pick the ball off the ground. He can run through traffic. He can run over guys with the ball on his stick. And he's a down-low guy. And down-low guys, when you can get that #1 defenseman, both Aiden and him are #1 defensemen coming into this class.
Yeah, I love the fact he's being coached at the high school level by Brody Merrill, both indoor and outdoor. There's a lot of intrinsic value in having a coach like that. Our next defender he's more of a charismatic playmaker with the ball on his stick. It's Matt Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, you watched him this summer when they had the Geico Game of the Week and everything like that. And he's a guy that probably is more noticeable with the ball on his stick because he likes scoring, he likes shooting. He's about 6'4", 200 pounds. He can shoot it about 100 miles an hour. He can pick the ball off the ground. And, we found that it's hard to get defenders who can pick the ball off the ground. And the ones with charisma, we can always turn into robots.
So you can teach me how to play defense.
I can teach you how to play.
You can't teach me how to get out of a pile with a loose ball and spin out and make a play in transition.
For me, it's been easier to teach how to play defense than it has been to have that charisma. I remember Brian Farrell, guy that we were around. He could pick the ball up in traffic. He could shoot it. He could score. I think he had 10 or 12 goals his junior year and his senior year. And I think Matt Christmas is one of those guys.
Our next defender is Parker Love. What stands out about Parker?
Parker's an interesting guy because he's a takeaway. He's a come-at-you kind of guy. He is not afraid to play the ball, and he's not afraid to get beat. He plays in the Northern Virginia area, and he's in the attack mode all the time. And, we can always slide to a long pole. He's a disruptor. He knocks the ball on the ground, and he's excellent at picking the ball off the ground.
Are there style issues, Dave, when certain programs are recruiting defenders? Do they say, this is not the right fit for us, or we can make this fit? How do you factor that in when you evaluate defenders?
And I think that's an excellent point. I think that, back in the day, if you were a takeaway defender, you didn't go to Princeton.
Yeah.
Because they were taught to have their stick and keep it on their hips and, and just not let a guy run by them. I think right now when we talk about poles, right now Virginia's kind of the team that everybody notices because their poles run up and down the field, they shoot and everything like that. And that kind of guy is Parker Love. He's that kind of aggressive. He could probably start off at a Division I school as a #2 pole or a #3 pole to get started and then work his way up.
Our last defensive player is Quentin Kilrain.
He's a guy that not everybody will have on the list because he's a glue guy. He can play the 2. He can play the 3. He can play off ball. And having a guy that organizes your defense and everything like that, those aren't the kind of guys that a lot of Division I coaches go for.
Yeah.
And that's why when you find a team with a bunch of takeaway guys, they don't play good team defense.
Yeah.
Now coaches are getting a lot smarter, and they're starting to recruit the pieces for the chemistry of the defense. This is a big piece. He could do a lot of different things, but I think he's a chemistry piece that if you're building a defense and you want to start giving up low numbers, Quentin is the guy you want on your team.
Yeah, he goes to Lawrenceville. It's typically difficult to evaluate that type of role. What I have noticed is the closer I get to the field, I have to use my ears. I want to know who the traffic cop is on defense. And then your eyes, typically, when people watch, they watch the ball. Well, watch off ball. These defenders, for me as a former goaltender, are gold. They hold it all together. They're telling, or they're the hot man, they're the slide guy, they're the second slide. I can't tell you how valuable that is and how difficult, though, it is to target that in recruiting.
I agree. And you just looked, Syracuse just got a flip on a guy who was committed to Rutgers, a kid who played for our 2022 team named Riley Figueres. Riley was a 2 or a 3. He's going to start as a man-down guy. You add him to Billy Dewan, who also played to us. Billy plays the bigger guy, and he's another great guy off ball. I think the key to Quentin's very like those two guys in that he turns a lot of 2-on-1s into 2-on-2s. His stick is always in the passing lane. They knock down passes. They knock it to the ground. And, which is very important for a guy who plays off the ball, he can get first-time ground balls. So I think you're seeing now with the multiple defenses, the crease slides, the adjacent slides, the combo. You know, they come from the crease, then they fill, or come adjacent, fill crease. The smarter those guys are in there to be that traffic cop, as you say, to communicate to everybody. And we all know that midfielders play defense because they have to, not because they want to. A good leader, a good traffic cop like that will get them to play defense or put them in situations. And just think about this. If when you have a bad matchup, you know you have a bad defender. You know, we always say KYP, know your own personnel. Well, you know you have a bad defender. A smart guy on the crease can communicate to everybody and get everybody in the ready mode to go.
That's right.
And that's why they're so important on a good team.
They make everybody around them better. In football, they're often called erasers, and they can erase all sorts of defensive problems that exist through communication, through being organized. That's a good look at the top 5 defenders from the class of 2023.